You're listening to the 186th edition of the Bitachon podcast. We're going to continue in the passuk in Tehillim, chapter 71, verse 1. But before we do, I just want to take note of the location I'm standing. There's a little river. You can see the water flowing here. And this location, I've lived in Ramat Beit Shemesh for now 18 years, and I've never known that about 3 minutes away from my house, there's a flowing river that's been here all this time. And I couldn't help but think that so many of our blessings, so much blessings we have in our life, we have so much good. Part of Bitachon is hoping for more. Part of Bitachon is also noticing that Hashem has been with us and helping us all along. And there's been a river flowing right near our home or right through our home. The blessings are just coming through, and we might not notice it right away. It might take a long time to find the blessings, but they're there. Hashem is constantly providing for us, constantly letting the flow come through. So the passuk says, in Perek Ayin Aleph, passuk Aleph, which we studied last week, we'll finish studying this week. It says, B'cha Hashem chasisi, Ali voish le'olam, I trusted in you, Hashem. I hope to you, Hashem. Let me not be embarrassed forever. It says the Yismach Chaim of Reb Chaim Pelagi, Habitcha hi gemura. There's two things. There's Bitachon and there's Chasoya. Chas means I'm hoping to Hashem. Bitachon means I'm confident. Not the same thing. Habitcha hi gemura. When a person has bitachon, it's absolute. It's full confidence. Chasoya hu kitzel. But if I have chisoyon, which is another word for trusting in Hashem, it's a different character, it has a different ofi, it has a different character. It's like the shade. It's like like shade, davar muat, a very slight thing. Right? When we think about ourselves and we think about the shade that we cast, the shade, we say, kitzel oiver, it passes quickly. So our chisayon it's just like a flicker of hope. That's how I would say it. Bitachon is confidence. Chisayon is a flicker of hope. I have a flicker of hope. I hope things are going to be well. V'zeh b'cha Hashem chasisi, ali voish le'olam. This is what it means, Hashem, I trusted in you, a lashon of chisayon. I won't be embarrassed forever. The chiddush is something amazing. Ki yadati she'eni roi l'malei she'lasi. David HaMelech is saying, look, I don't have the requisite bitachon. I don't have the confidence. I just don't feel it right now. For whatever reason, I'm not there. But I recognize that I don't deserve, right? If I don't have the full confidence, if I just have a flicker of hope, is that enough for Hashem to give me what I need? Is that enough for Hashem to give me salvation, to save me from my enemies? Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like this type of hope, this type of flicker of hope should be enough for me to get what I want, to get what I need. Im kol zeh muvtachani, dali voish le'olam. But David HaMelech says, I trusted in you. I had a flicker of hope. As I turned to you, I thought maybe you'll help me. That's enough. I'm not going to be embarrassed forever. Right? And I want to remind you, and I know I said it last week also, but we say in Hatzadikim, let us not be embarrassed, Hashem. When we trust in you, Hashem, let us not be embarrassed. Human beings we can become embarrassed from. They may or may not be able to help us, and really, it never feels good to put one's faith in a person. It never feels good to have to come on to a human being. But coming on to Hashem, asking Hashem for help, even if it's just a flicker of hope, that's something that we will never be embarrassed from. Hashem is our Father. We can always turn to a Father for help. We don't have to deserve it. We're His Son. Now he brings a piece from the Shari Chaim. He says as follows: Yesh sheyatzil Hashem es hanirdaf mian mevakish nafshay shelo yu'una elev kol ra. This is so important, so interesting. when it comes to being saved, when it comes to being saved from our enemies, and this is something we can think about today here in Eretz Yisrael, throughout the world, there's two types of being saved. There's a salvation where I'm protected, but my enemy still exists. He's still out there. He could always come back to haunt me. I might be saved. Nothing bad happens to me. Hashem helps me. But my enemy is still around. He's still strong. He still has power. And this type of saving that Hashem does, Hashem doesn't allow me to fall into his trap. Hashem doesn't allow him to catch me. As it was with King David and King Saul. Throughout the time that Shaul was chasing after King David, so Shaul was strong. He had power. But Hashem allowed him to escape constantly, over and over again. This is comparable to somebody, the guy who's being chased is sitting inside of a very powerful rock. You're inside of a fortress. He's on a fortress on a mountain, and the one who wants to, his enemy, the king, who wants to defeat him, trying to get him, can't get up onto the mountain, can't get through the blockade. That's not a full salvation. Yeshua means I'm completely saved. You can't call that salvation because the lion's still sitting outside of the castle. This is just called being lehatzil, means to save, but it doesn't mean a full salvation. It doesn't mean complete, absolute, forever I'm saved. It just means I'm saved for the moment. I'm saved from the person who's chasing after me, but he's still around. There's also another type, another situation. This is very interesting. The individual doesn't have a fortress. He doesn't have a castle on a mountain with a moat separating between himself and his enemy. But Hashem causes the enemy to fall down in front of him. Think about it, this is what's going on today, right? He rises up higher and higher and becomes stronger and stronger. Excuse me. And his enemy goes down further and further. Nasrallah is killed. Sinwar is killed. Assad falls. The enemies are falling and falling, and Am Yisrael is getting stronger and stronger, rising up. Amazing, incredible things that are going on today. V'zehu Yeshua. Sorry about that. V'zeh Yeshua sh'Hashem higdil oisai. This is what we mean when we say salvation. As Tzemach David Avdecha, right after Mishan Miftach Hatzadikim, Hashem protects us. As Tzemach David Avdecha Mehira Satzmiach V'Karei Tarim B'Shua Secha. Raise up King David's honor. Bring us Moshiach ben David. Mashiach ben Yosef has a certain strength. Perhaps we're seeing that strength manifesting today. We have a certain strength, but it's just able to contain the enemy, doesn't destroy the enemy. As we move in to a period of Mashiach ben David, which is where we're headed in current history, if you look at things in a little bit of a broader perspective, as we get there, so the enemies fall and Am Yisrael rises. Hashem raises him up to the point where the enemy can't do anything to him at all. It's not possible. And this is something that when Am Yisrael experiences a Yeshua, a salvation, so they are raised up. We are being raised up. Means raise up his honor with your salvation. Salvation causes Am Yisrael's honor to rise. They all respect you. When you defeat them, everybody around respects you. In 1967, Someone told me, someone who obviously was around at that time, I think it was a cab driver who told me that he was going around at the time in 1967. If you would walk through the Arab neighborhoods in East Jerusalem, they were bepachad, they were afraid of the Jews. There's a sense of honor that comes when Am Yisrael rises and when the enemies fall. Now, the first stage when Hashem is coming to help us, whether it's an individual, Ish Chesed, maybe he's referring to an Ish Chesed, a Tzaddik, when we're being saved, the first stage is Hashem is Matzil. Hashem protects us, Hashem saves us, but the enemy still has power. Then nothing bad should happen. But still, the person who's being saved is not yet raised up, doesn't yet have confidence, doesn't yet have that sense of that those around him respect him and fear him. After this individual, and I'm adding, after Am Yisrael as a whole starts to become greater, he prays for salvation. He becomes a bal mitzvah, a bar mitzvah, someone who's involved in the commandments, involved in avodas Hashem, in serving Hashem. As Am Yisrael becomes stronger in our observance, oz yizke lalis mala mala. And it's not a coincidence, you've heard this from me before, but it's not a coincidence that Am Yisrael today, in Israel, Roiv of Am Yisrael, the government is a right-wing government. It's from the center to the right. People who are at least Masorati, at least traditional, on through the religious. It's more than 50% of this country. It's an amazing thing. The balance has shifted. But as the balance shifts, as we individually become more righteous, as we individually pray and fulfill Hashem's will more and more, and nationally, so then we merit to rise higher and higher until our enemies fall. And that's a sign of the person's spiritual level, says the Shari Chaim. And this is what the passuk means when it says, Hashem, I trusted in you. I will not be embarrassed forever. What does it mean I won't be embarrassed forever? Not being embarrassed is another way of saying my honor is going to be raised up. I trusted in you, Hashem. And now it's not just that you saved me and my enemies are pushed back, but they're still waiting in the wings to attack me again. No, you saved me, and now my enemies have fallen, and now my honor is raised up. I won't be embarrassed forever. The psukim right afterwards refer to the fact that Hashem saves me. If it's just Hashem's tzidkus, if it's just Hashem's righteousness, so He's saving me for the moment. Saving me from a situation of challenge. So that's just called Hatzalah, that's just for the moment. Then, if that's what it is, if it's just Hashem saving me for the moment, then I'm going to ask for a deeper salvation, for a complete salvation. Turn your ear towards me and save me completely. Bring me an absolute salvation. Shieli gam li Yeshua. I want not just lehachil et ha'oyev, like they say in modern parlance. I don't want just that my enemy should be contained. I want full salvation over my enemies. I want them all to fall. I want them all to be destroyed. I want the honor of Am Yisrael to be raised up, such that the whole world sees, even if they try to take credit for it themselves, as the U.S. president did. But everyone knows Hashem brought about a huge victory for Am Yisrael, first in Gaza, second in Lebanon, and that resulted in an amazing fall in Syria. It's just unbelievable to watch. But it was brought about through Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is rising. Hinam kilavi yakum. Like a lion cub, we're rising up. Hashem is giving us incredible siyata d'shmaya. It's unbelievable to watch it from up close. I invite you all to come to Eretz Yisrael. Don't miss out. You could have a front row seat. Drash's Kol Ben Levi says as follows. Very interesting idea. If you look at the passuk, which immediately precedes this passuk, this is the first passuk of chapter 71 of Tehillim. If you look at the passuk right before, at the end of chapter 70, right, this is 71, the end of 70, the last pasuk refers, David HaMelech says, I am poor. I have no means. Immediately after that, he says, Hashem, I trusted in you, I won't be embarrassed forever. I'm poor. I have nothing of my own. I trust in you. You're my helper. You're the one who will save me, get me out of this mess. And I want to express that I have another request of you. Let me not be embarrassed forever. Look, there are two ways. It's a similar kind of parallel to what we said before, but this sounds like more on an individual level, but it applies really to Am Yisrael as a whole as well, as we'll see. Hashem can save me. Hashem can take care of me at a basic, bare bones level. I'm poor. I don't have food to put on my table. Hashem gives me bare necessities. But when Am Yisrael is poor and just getting by, or when David HaMelech, King David, let's say he's poor, he's running from his enemies, etc., and all he has is just the clothes on his back, a piece of bread he finds in the street. If all I have is just basic bare necessities, it's embarrassing. Am Yisrael shouldn't look like that. Am Yisrael shouldn't be poor. Am Yisrael shouldn't be pathetic. The nations of the world will say to me and about me that all of Am Yisrael is poor. They don't have their means. They're not wealthy. They're not chashuv. They're not important. Says David HaMelech, I'm poor. Am Yisrael is poor, but give a little bit of wealth. Don't just help me. Don't just give me the bare bones. Give some members of Am Yisrael a little bit of wealth. Kehach de Saita, which I don't know what it's referring to. Maybe it's a Gemara in Saita. Shamar David. We find that King David says, it's a passuk in Tehillim, Perek Tes, passuk Chaf Aleph, Shisa Hashem Moira Lehem. Hashem, place your fear upon my enemies, upon the nations of the world. Yedu Goyim Enish Hemasela. Let the nations know that we are Enish, we are Chashuv, we are human beings. We are prosperous. Because Perish Rashi, Dein lahem morus la'oisan anim. Oisher, so it's a drasha, a bit of a drasha that Rashi explains. Shis Hashem moira lahem means, so I said it means give them fear, let the nations fear us. But it can also mean give Am Yisrael a certain upstanding nature. Those who are poor, give them some wealth. So that the nations should honor Am Yisrael, should show respect to Am Yisrael. So it's very interesting. Before we talked about victory, providing Am Yisrael with we won't be embarrassed. There's no embarrassment. There's an honor for Am Yisrael when we are victorious against our enemies. But besides that, let Am Yisrael have wealth. Think about Yosef Hatzadik. Yosef becomes the second in command to Paro. When Am Yisrael comes down to Egypt, he provides them with incredible wealth. Everything that they need, they come in. They're upstanding individuals. They're upstanding citizens. They're people who everyone wants them to be part of the government, etc. That's what Am Yisrael is supposed to be. We're supposed to be the leaders of the world. So we need to have the respect of the nations. Finally, he brings here from Pirkei Tefillah L'Hagoyin Reb Tzvi Abba Garalik. who says as follows, and this is an explanation based on Nusach Svard. In Nusach Ashkenaz we say, place our portion amongst the tzaddikim forever, and we won't be embarrassed. In Nusach Svard they say, we will not, and forever we won't be embarrassed, for we have trusted in you. What does it mean we will forever not be embarrassed? As they say in Nusach Svard. We won't be embarrassed, for we have trusted in you. When a person trusts in a human being, even if that human being helps him, it's embarrassing to receive a favor from somebody else. When you receive a favor, I didn't deserve it. Someone did me a favor. It's embarrassing. According to the Nusach of Nusach Svard, forever let us not be embarrassed. Yesh lefarish. We can explain another aspect of this. Here's one more reason to have bitachon. When I trust in human beings and not in Hashem, so the end result is that when I get to the Olam HaEmes, when we get to the world to come, after 120 years, a person goes to a space, to a place, where the truth is revealed. The truth is revealed that if I trusted in somebody, in a human being, it didn't work. It wasn't because of that human being. There's an incredible embarrassment in the fact that I trusted in human beings. In the Olam HaEmes, in the world of truth, what's revealed is that Hashem is the reason behind all the reasons. Sibat HaSibot. Hashem is the reason behind all the reasons. He's the primal cause of all the causes. If anyone helped me, if anything helped me, if there was any reason that I got something good in my life, if you go back to the root, it's always Hashem. It's Hashem who sent that person to help me. It's Hashem who sent that idea into my mind that was successful, etc. So if a person trusts in Hashem and always is reminding oneself, if I'm always reminding myself that Hashem is the one, Hashem is the source, Hashem is the reason, if somebody is helping me, if someone is hiring me to do a job, if something is going on in my life that's positive, the real source of it is Hashem. It's Hashem, la'olam. Always, constantly, I'm reminding myself that it's Hashem, la'olam la'nevish, so then I won't be embarrassed forever in the world to come. When I get to the place, when I get to the world of truth, where the truth is revealed completely, so I will have been aligned with that truth. What is embarrassment? Embarrassment is when I'm caught by the truth. I'm humiliated. The difference between humility and humiliated is humility is I align myself with the truth. And humiliation, embarrassment is where I'm caught, not aligned with the truth. To the extent that I put my full faith in Hashem, and I recognize that anything in my life that happens that's good is from Him. And everything good is from Him. So to the extent that I do that, so I'm aligned. And forever, when I get to that place of forever, which is the world of truth, I won't be embarrassed. Thank you so much for listening. See you again next time.